So a little while ago, I did a video on my generic bookmark handler by the name of Bookmenu, which I've been working on slowly over time. And basically what it is a bookmark handler with DMenu as a base, so I can do things like have my browser bookmarks actually separated from my web browser, or have, say, all of my config file paths in one location. So if I want to quickly load up any of my configs, all I have to do is open up a DMenu prompt and then just quickly open them from there, rather than having to go to their specific folders, and that's just a bit of a pain. If I can do it from one location, that'll probably be a bit easier. So basically what I wanted to do today is talk about what I've done since that previous video. Now I've actually got options working and a couple other things, and then basically also talk about what I want to do in the future with it as well. So if you're new to the channel, you know what to do, and let's jump right into it. So one of the things I don't think I did exceptionally well in my previous video on it is actually explain what the reason you'd want to use this is for. So obviously you've got your generic bookmarks for your browser. So if I wanted to go to, say, like Amazon, I could just bring up my DMenu prompt and then bring that up like this. You can see I've been doing a lot of Vim stuff today, so I'll just close that off. But yeah, that'll let me bring up Amazon, or I can go to like AnyChart. And if I then wanted to move to a different web browser, all I would need to do is change the command that I'm actually passing into this program. So because of that, I then went and did things like set it up so it actually work with my configs, and for obviously anything you want to open with it. So for example, we can bring up my Brute config, or we could bring up my Bookmenu config. And that'll basically let me open up in a Vim buffer. Obviously, you could use any editor. I just use Vim myself. But yeah, that I think is the real benefit of doing this. And obviously, if there's other things you want to open it with, like say you want to use this for a music player, or you want to have your assignments and open them up in like LibreOffice or something like that, then that's also something you could do. And I might make it so you can have like specific commands for certain bookmarks, but I don't know. We'll see if people actually feel like needing that. Right now, this is pretty much good enough for me. So in this video, I'm going to go a bit more in-depth into the script. I'm not actually going to do any scripting today because I am terrible at live coding. If you can probably tell from just how bad I am at speaking, just multiply that by about 10, and that's what happens when I do live coding. But anyway, let's just have a look at Bookmenu. Now, before I open it, I would like to say that I am not super proficient in shell scripting, so if someone complains that something is wrong, I'm more than happy to fix it. Please be nice about it though. But yeah, anyway, at the top here I've got all of the default values. Now I'm not loading in from a config file at this point, so right now the only way to actually configure it, besides actually passing in options for that specific run, is to actually modify stuff in here. So all of these things in here are configurable at this point, so you can set the vertical lines. So vertical lines, if you haven't ever used DMenu before, basically if you pass a value into this one, what that'll let you do is actually list out the bookmarks or the DMenu prompt vertically. Now if you leave nothing there, it'll basically just default to doing horizontal. Same with the monitor. If you don't put anything there, it'll just default to your primary monitor. So I didn't feel like there was any need to include a default value there. I might do it. Obviously, you can configure it, and when I set up the config file, you're going to be able to do that. But at least in the script, there's no pressing reason to do that. So if I remove that value, open it back up, now it's gone back to being horizontal rather than actually being vertical down the screen. Vertical down the screen. That's what vertical is. I don't know why I said that. So the default font I've got set to Mono 12 just because that's a pretty sensible way. Now for the colors, obviously, as I said, you're going to be able to configure them. I've got it set up to be my color scheme, so obviously, if you're not using my color scheme, it's not going to look great on your system, but I feel like this is just a good color scheme all around. I could have set it to the default DMenu theme. I might still do that, but right now I've got it set up like this. The separator I've got set up as my separator, and then the rest of the stuff isn't too important. So we've got like a default bookmarks location, which I'm not actually using that specific file. I'm actually using a custom file because I've got two different bookmark files. And then I've got a default config location. So this is also going to be customizable. All of this will be customizable. There's nothing that I don't want to make it so you have to use it in my exact way. If you want to have it in some weird setup, I think you should be able to do that. Like, for example, one of the ideas I thought of was that if you actually have all of your bookmarks in one file, you can actually differentiate them based on the actual separator you're using. So I might come up with some interesting way to handle that, or I might just force you to use different files, which makes sense. I don't know. I'm still thinking about how to handle it exactly. I'm not really sure about handling options or handling arguments, so this is kind of my first attempt, and I think it works. It definitely works. I don't know if there's a better way to do it. So basically what will happen is, if we run Bookmenu, so we'll just pass in an argument. So I go like -s, for example. So what that will do is it'll actually trigger this function right here, so handle option. So we look down here, if we go down to the loop that's actually looping through all the arguments. So if you didn't know, you can actually loop through all of the arguments that come into a shell script with a for loop and $@. So $@ basically means every single argument that comes into the shell script. So we're looping through all of the arguments, and then I'm using case statement to actually determine what that actual argument or that value is. I'm not going to keep saying argument because I'm using argument to mean two different things in this context. So you can loop through all the values, and then I'm determining whether it's an argument or an option. This -s is an option, and this mess right here is an argument. So basically it loops through all of that and determines what's what. So for the options, the way I'm handling that is through a couple of greps. Now, I was thinking of doing case statements, but I didn't realize you couldn't do proper regex in a case statement. You can do like a really shortened down version of it. So I'm using greps for that, and basically trying to see if any of the valid arguments actually appear in this section right here. And if it does, then basically I will assign that value to the last option seen, and then I'll say that I saw an option. Now, I'm just thinking about this now, and I don't actually need both of these, because I could just assign this to nothing when I don't actually run into an option. I don't know why I didn't think of that earlier. I'll fix that once the video is over. And then I've got a special case right here for -h. So -h will just print the help page. If I run that right now, I don't actually have a help page. It just prints out future help page. But there will be a help page there at some point. So if you want to use this right now, good luck. You're kind of just going to have to guess what everything means. A lot of the arguments are just passed through straight to DMenu though. So if you look at the DMenu documentation and you see the exact same argument, then that's the exact same argument in my script. The extra ones you're probably going to have to work out for yourself though, but I will get the help page done very shortly. And the other thing I need to do is actually move this into its own repo, because right now I've just got it in my regular scripts repo. I want to move it into its own one, so if people want to easily help out, then they could easily do that. Now for handling arguments, it's really easy. So basically what I'm doing is, if I saw an option, then I'm just assigning that argument to the variable that is associated with that option. So nothing too special there, it's just a very simple case statement. And then if it's an option that I don't know about, then I'm just going to say that there's nothing I can assign it to, basically, and then fail. So yeah, nothing super special there. Let's just look at this a bit more. So I've also changed the way that I'm setting up the DMenu. So this is a bit longer than it was before. Basically all I'm doing is passing in everything that I can possibly pass in and just going for the best. Now, this will cause it to fail at this stage if you pass in arguments that aren't valid. So if I have invalid arguments, I might have to try to test them out beforehand or something like that. I know for things that obviously don't have a value, I could easily test those, but I don't know if there's a way to easily test the ones that I'm passing into DMenu. I don't know. There's probably some way to do it. Maybe I can pipe it in, or maybe I can send it into like a prior DMenu, and if it fails, then I can say it fails. But I might just let it fail and then just let DMenu print out whatever it wants to print out. Now, as for the rest of this, I'm pretty sure the rest is exactly the same as it was before. Yeah, all of this is the exact same. Most of the changes this time actually came in for handling arguments and handling options. Now, the big thing I really want to be doing is getting the config file working. And the way that I'm probably going to be doing that is pretty much the way that I'm actually handling my separators. I'm not going to use some like fancy format. I'm just going to do this the super easy way, and that's what I'm going to be doing. So if we just have a look at my current bookmarks file, for example, you'll see what I mean. So I'm probably not going to use a semicolon separator. I'll probably use an equals separator, but this is all I'm going to be doing. So basically, if I zoom in on this, if you notice, I'm also using Netra instead of Nerdtree. That's not relevant to this video. It's just something I'm testing out right now. Anyway, back to this video. So what I would basically be doing is this. So I would have some variable here equals a value. Now, there's probably better ways to do this, but you know what? This is easy. So all I'm going to be doing is having my values assigned like that, I will support comments. So if you put like a hash at the start of the line, I'll just ignore the line. Or maybe I'll do Vim comments. Maybe I'll support both. I don't know. I'll support one or the other, or maybe both. We'll see what I decide to do. And then I'll just loop through the file and check every single value, and then everything that has a value, I will assign to one of these variables, basically. So pretty much basic stuff, nothing too special there. Now, the reason I want to get the configs done fairly quickly is because the way that I have to run this command is kind of a mess. So if we just have a look at my actual configs for this. So if we go into sxhkd, sx8, I can spell. It's a very annoying one to say and spell. Anyway, so this is what it looks like to run. Not this entire thing. I'll see where it goes up to. Basically here. Yeah, this point here. So this is why I want to get this fixed very, very quickly. So basically what I'm doing, bookmenu -p. So -p lets you set the prompt value. So that is this value right here. And then -fn, that'll set the actual font. So that's using the DMenu style of formatting font. So the name dash the size of it. And that is being set to a colon. Then -br will actually let you set the bookmark file. I might change that from br to like bm or something. I'm not sure. Probably will. And then I've also got -co. -co lets you set the command. So the command that I'm opening up my browser bookmarks with is my browser. The one that I'm opening up my configs one with is terminal-e nvim. So that'll basically open up nvim in my standard terminal. So obviously you could use anything for this. So if you want to open up a bunch of ODT files and docx files in LibreOffice Writer, then you could do that. One thing you can't do that I do want to actually support, I just thought of this now actually, is being able to pass in an argument at a place besides the end. So right now, with all of the stuff that you're passing in, it'll run the command and then it'll run whatever value is being passed to it. So say for my browser, it'll run the browser with Amazon passed into it. What I want to be able to do is make it so you can assign the location that you want to pass the value into. And the reason I want to do that is so you can have your own custom chains. Now, what I mean by this is, say you wanted to do something like pass the path to a markdown file into Pandoc and then pipe that into Zathura. Now, in its current state, you can't do that because all that would do is then try to run Zathura with that text file. So I've had some way that you could actually mark the point that you want to put that value in. I think that would be really cool. Now, I'm not sure how I would do that. I think it would be pretty easy. So if I did something like have a thing where it's like something like that, so you could assign exactly where you want that value to be placed, that might work. I'm not sure about the way I'm going to handle that, but I think something like that is probably a really good idea. So I'm not just going to do like a hacky help page that's outputted from the actual script. What I want to do is a proper man page. And the reason I want to do a man page is two reasons actually. One, it really bothers me when scripts don't have actual man pages, so you have to do like -help or -h or -h or -help. They all do it differently. Just use a man page. I know it's a pain to set them up, but I really do like it when there is a man page available. And the other thing is that it's an excuse to learn Groff, and I've kind of been looking for a project to do with Groff, and why don't I just do a man page? Because that's just the way that man pages are written. And I just realized one other thing I really need to get done, and that is making it so the first time you run this program, it'll actually generate that directory for you with a generic bookmarks file and basically let it go from there, and then obviously you can configure it from there. Obviously it's not really a big pain, it's just a slight annoyance that I think could really, really easily be fixed. Now I think that's pretty much everything I want to talk about in this video. So next time I talk about this program, I will have the config file working because it's bothering me that I don't have it working just yet. And I'll also be part of the way through or all the way through the man page. Now, if you want to actually test this out, I am running this on a daily basis and it works perfectly fine. I haven't run into any problems with it, but that is actually knowing how it works. So if you don't know how it works and you try to do something weird that's outside of my configuration, it might break. And if it does, once I get this in its own repo, feel free to submit an issue about it, or if you want to fix it yourself, then submit a pull request. I'll absolutely happily take the help if you do want to add some features, or you want to fix some bugs, or anything that you want to do with it, or if you've got a better way to handle arguments and options. If you have any of that, I am more than happy to accept that I don't know the most about shell scripting. So if you do want to help, then I'll leave those links down below. So I think that's pretty much everything for me. So if you like this video, remember to smash that like button and leave me a comment down below letting me know what you think. If you want to see more videos like this and just not just shell scripting stuff, but also just random Linux stuff, remember to subscribe and ding a little bell icon down below because it'll really help the channel out. I'm now aiming for 10,000 subs and any help would be really appreciated. Up on that corner, I've got the playlist there's videos in, so go check that out if you want to see other videos like this. Down below, I've got all of my social links, so that's my Discord, my Telegram, and all of that stuff. Feel free to check any of that out. I've also got my support links, so if you'd like to support the channel, then feel free to use my Patreon or any of the other methods. But obviously though, if you don't feel like doing it, then you don't have to. And lastly, I've also got my alternate video platform, so my library and my BitTube. So if you want to watch my videos on a platform that isn't YouTube, then feel free to use any of those. So I think that's pretty much everything for me, and I'm out.